This is a message to the ordinary Americans. Think about this. Blinken goes to China to try and smooth the relationship over. He gets back to Washington, and before his ass hits the seat, that geriatric Biden accuses Xi Jinping of being a dictator. Is that how you think you are going to show the world that you want to be a good neighbor? I don't think so. Sunday morning, the 9th of July 2023. This is one of that rip the band-aid off. And it is about America. I have to talk about this, and there is a lot of things that we really need to consider, but it's way too much for one skidmark. This specific skidmark, I want to focus on something that was triggered by a comment made by a user on the YouTube channel. The person said that I must not attribute the things that the Biden administration is doing to Americans. It is not the Americans, it is the American government. Now, for a long time, I have tried to make that distinction in my discussions, and about a month ago, I listened to Scott Ritter, and after that I realized that what he says is correct. The American population cannot expect us, outside of America, to keep on divorcing the population from their government. The reality is, it is their government. We can do nothing about their government. They can do something about their government. And it is 2023. Information is available if you want to dig, to see that the American government is bloody evil. And what they are doing is absolutely horrendous. But the average American is trying to hide behind this shit that it is their government, it's not them. I want you to look at this very carefully. This woman, Hillary Clinton, for a long time, she was involved in foreign affairs of America. And this is the face that the American government wants us to see when we talk about Hillary Clinton. But the reality is, this is an evil woman. Fucking evil. Don't for one moment forget it. That is what she is. This is the face that you should keep in mind when you talk about Hillary Clinton. And then you must tie her famous words about Libya and Gaddafi to this image. We came, we saw, he died. That is what she said about killing Gaddafi. What did they do? This is the image of Libya. That was the Libya of Gaddafi. And Gaddafi did one unforgivable thing. He tried to unite Africa, and secondly, he wanted its gold standard currency for Africa. And that was too much for the West. Because they knew, if that happens, they're done. They are done. You must never forget, everything that you see happening around us, it's all about power. America has got 700 military bases around the world. Ask yourself, why? Why the fuck do they have 700 military bases around the world? This is what the streets of Los Angeles looks like. That is how their population is struggling. Their own people. But they can spend billions of dollars in fucking the rest of the world up to maintain their supreme position. Their own citizens are struggling like hell. Their own infrastructure is falling apart. China builds 5,000 kilometers of fast rail, high-speed rail per year. America does not even have 100 kilometers of high-speed rail. Think about that. Look at the Moscow underground, the Moscow metro underground system. Look at that thing. And then you look at what it looks like in America. The American stuff, the American underground system looks like sewers. But they can go around the world and fuck people's lives up. Look again at this image of Libya. That is the Libya under Gaddafi. And then Clinton decided, time for Gaddafi to go. And this is the result. Now I want you to look at these buildings. There are some of these buildings that are very old. But this is the places where people lived, where people had their businesses, where people had their lives. And this is what the Americans did to it. For one moment, there's not a sane person at that table in the shithouse there in Washington that said, guys, we can't bomb everything there. Those people have built it over a lot of years. It was a poor nation. They worked themselves up to achieve something. We can't just go in there and destroy their infrastructure and destroy their schools and destroy their hospitals and kill their people. How can we do that? But that voice is not in America. That voice is in Moscow. Think about that. And this is the result. This is what Libya is today. The American pets, ISIS, is there creating chaos and death and pandemonium and destruction, and people's lives have been destroyed. Destroyed. It will take generations to rebuild it. Do the Americans care? They don't give a fuck about that. All they care about is retaining their power positions. Now look at this image. This is the man that started the shit against Russia. He will go down in history as the guy that started that. And he did it through a proxy in Ukraine. And now you must not come and sit here and look at my videos with a great undying love for that coke-sniffing Nazi sitting in Kiev. That guy is not the type of person that you should. That Zelensky is a fucking creep. But in any case, Joe Biden, he was the one that decided it was a good time to fuck Russia up. To try and do to Russia what they did to Libya. And unfortunately for them, there was this man. And he said, I see you, and you won't cross this line. When he asked at a meeting, who gave America the right, NATO, who gave NATO the right to decide to kill Gaddafi? Who gave NATO the right to decide to kill Saddam? Nobody answered him. Why? Because he's a Russian. But I sit here today and I firmly believe, just as I believed that the election of Trump in his first term was divine intervention, and unfortunately that train got derailed by stupidity from Trump. He allowed the devil's disciples to sit in his inner circle. And he paid the price for that stupidity. The same way I felt about Trump's election, I feel about Vladimir Putin. And now you South Africans, white South Africans, that have been brainwashed with a fucking red danger, rooi gevaar bullshit for your whole life. Time to wake up and smell the roses. You are uninformed, but you live in a bubble and you're just too afraid anybody burst your bubble. And I'm taking a lot of heat because of my position about the Russians and about Putin. But Putin said to the evil people of this world, to the Soros of this world, stop, you're not going to cross this line. Stop killing the Russians in the Donbass. Stop trading in our children. Stop slaughtering our children for spare parts. Stop draining their blood for adrenochrome. Stop. And the world thought he was making a joke until the 24th of February 2022, when the Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. And all of a sudden, everybody was up in arms. And what do you guess? The Americans trigger the war machine. Not sit down and do some introspection and say, hey guys, fuck this. We can't carry on like this. We can't go around the world bombing people. We can't go around the world killing people. We must stop that shit. No. This fucking madman pulled the trigger. And he started on top of that, he started the sanction war against Russia. And he will go down in history as the man that killed the dollar. Because when he started that sanction war against America, he most famously said that Russia is a fuel station with nukes. Fucking idiot. But that is what you Americans have. You have allowed people like this geriatric, demented fucker to be your leader and take you into all this shit. Because you, the American people, allowed him. I grew up in a world where the Americans were glorified by Hollywood and all those brave soldiers and brave security people and immaculate police and all that law and justice and all that cuck was a smokescreen, because under that veneer, evilness actually ruled America. And the average American sitting on his farm in Ohio or in Colorado or where, sitting down at night after a hard day's work in the fields, having a meal, reading his Bible, praying for his family, he allowed crazy people, warmongers like Clinton, like Biden, like the Bushes, to go around the world and destroy people's lives. Look at this image again. This is what you Americans do. You Americans do this. Don't come with that shit that is your government. It is you. You are allowing them to do this. But you've got a major fuck up. That same idiot that is bombing the Middle East into oblivion, that same idiot has thrown your southern border open. You better wake up. There's a document at the United Nations in which they stated clearly they want 100 million immigrants into America, and then they're going to take America over with UN troops. And they are going to amalgamate America, Canada, and Mexico. That is their plan. Those millions that you see streaming over your borders, that is their soldiers. But where are your protection? In 700 bases around the globe, fucking people's lives up. That is where your protection is. You Americans better wake up. Biden killed the dollar. The BRICS countries has had enough. For years and years and generations, they've been sanctioned. I grew up in a country that was sanctioned. I grew up in that country. But in my country, we had people, Afrikaners, that said, fuck this, we'll help ourselves. So today we're sitting with a situation that the BRICS bloc is consolidating. That new BRICS currency is making the Americans crazy. Now all of a sudden there's somebody sitting in that table in the shit house and saying, guys, we fucked up. These oaks are going to move away from the dollar. What are we going to do? I've got news for you. You can do fuck all about it. Your biggest problem is you've got a $32 trillion overdraft, and the guy that holds the security sits in BRICS. So you've got a problem. Biden destroyed the dollar, and now you're going to pay for it. And you can expect no mercy. Look at this image of Libya again. This is what Libya was. That was what Libya was. And this is what you did to Libya. Do you think the Libyans are going to have mercy for you? Do you think the Iraqis is going to have mercy for you? Do you think the Afghanis is going to have mercy for you? Do you think there's people in Russia that's going to have mercy for you? After you financed the killing of 15,000 Russians in the Donbass. 15,000? That is what you must remember. So you Americans, you have now isolated yourselves. You have isolated yourselves. You are sitting in your country. Your fucking government blew $32 trillion on bullshit, of which you saw nothing. Your people is living on the streets. Your people is living under bridges. But your government has got money to finance 700 military bases around the world. Now you have been isolated on your continent. And the world around you actually hates you. Now you will understand that slogan that has been so many times echoed through the Middle East, death to America, is now coming to you. It's standing on your doorstep. Your biggest problem was, since World War II, no country bombed 3 or 4 of your cities into oblivion like you've done to Libya. Because if it did happen, you would understand that you must not go and do that in other countries. But no, you elected and allowed a cabal to do those evil things to other countries. And now you ordinary Americans, you are going to pay. When that dollar collapses, your pension is gone. Your savings is gone. Your investment on the stock exchange is gone. Your future is gone. Let an old boer from South Africa give you a tip. You cannot walk around the neighborhood, in this case the world, and fuck people's lives up and destroy their infrastructure and then expect them to help you when the shit hits the fan in your backyard. You cannot do it. Your arrogance may make you believe that you can do it, but you can't. You've got a major problem, and you built that problem over 80 years. You allowed people like Clinton to do these things that is unforgivable. Madeleine Albright, when asked about 500,000 Iraqi children killed, she said, "That was a difficult decision, but it was worth it." That fucking crazy senator of yours sitting in Kiev and saying Russians are dying, so it's good. It's the best investment we've ever made. That is the type of shit that is now coming back to roost. And you will have to learn to deal with it. How are you going to deal with it? I have no clue. But you will have to start thinking about dealing with it. Because the shit tsunami that is heading towards America, nothing can stop it. But I've said enough. I have now explained to you exactly why I don't make a distinction between the American population and the American government anymore. Because the American population, you are the only people that can do something about it. You allowed those evil people into Washington and gave them all the power. Think about that. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And thank you for the support. I really appreciate it.